Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We're hopping back in to the Ultimate Gohan run. This time, instead of the tech one, we're going to be focusing on the Strength EZA Ultimate Gohan, because while the tech Ultimate Gohan was amazing, and he's easily still one of the best units in the game, one of the best aging units in the game, and he's conquered all the hardest content there is to conquer, Strength Ultimate Gohan, generally, I don't know if you noticed in the previous video if you did watch it, the Strength EZA Ultimate Gohan had an amazing run, and this is his peak of how good he can be in Red Zone. However, like Nameku, just a little less RNG related, it does quite depend on RNG of him and how well he can perform here. So don't forget to drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into it. So for the time being, we don't currently have him on rotation with the tech one. We will eventually get there. But I will say this immediately. I don't know what type of luck I was given on this day. I don't know. I don't know why Dokkan decided to bless me the way they did. But my Red Zone runs don't typically end up going this well. And I don't typically get this lucky when it comes to Red Zone runs. Usually my luck comes in summons, which is obviously where you want it, but I don't typically get this lucky when it comes to Red Zone runs. And that is because every single turn the EZA Ultimate Gohan was about, I don't think there was a single turn he didn't. Every single turn he was about, he was guarding. And he has a high chance to guard, which of course is what we hoped and prayed that Nameku would get. Unfortunately, they didn't decide to give it to him. But he had his high chance to guard, which is a 50% chance to guard, active every single turn, which means every coin flip chance, every 50% chance, every single turn. Every time I wanted heads, I got heads. Every time I wanted tails, I got tails. And this man was guarding. So this is literally the best of how he can perform in Red Zone. As you saw to the turn prior, he took just over 100k on a super, and I'm pretty sure he only super attacked once. And of course, he greatly raises defense on super. So 50% defense raise and his guard active, and he's taken up just over 100k on super, which to be fair is decent. It's not that bad considering he's an okay defensive unit, but of course for him to be really good defensively is highly dependent on RNG. Again, just like Nameku, when we took him into the OMEGEA SHENRON Red Zone, it was kind of the pinnacle. You know, early on he was guarding a lot. As soon as he wasn't, even though he stacks defense, he took 40k's on basics on the final phase, and we ended up dying near the end. The same can be said for Strength Ultimate Gohan. He does have a few defensive links here and there, but so does Nameku. And if that high chance to guard doesn't come off, which obviously a high chance is better than a medium chance. However, again, that coin flip chance just doesn't go your way when you need it to. Like, it doesn't have to be active all the time. But if it doesn't flip the way you want it when you need it, he can take some damage. I'm not saying he's one of the best defensive units. He can be very, very good defensively. He could be amazing defensively. Again, just like Nameku, which is exactly what we got when I done this run. As I said, I don't know how I got so blessed. I don't know how I got so lucky for his guard to constantly be active. But if his guard isn't active, he is open to quite a lot of damage. So he's another one that is very dependent on RNG and Red Zone for how good he can be defensively. Just on this day, I got very lucky, and this is how good he can be. So if his guard isn't active and he supers once, he can easily take quite a bit of damage, even on basics, depending on who you're facing. Once he super attacks on the early phases of the majority of Red Zone stages, he'll probably tank relatively well, some of them double digits, and he should be fine. When you're getting towards the harder bosses, obviously that won't be the case. However, if he guards and he supers once, he will tank for double digits. If he gets supered, he'll probably take a few 100k damage, but he'll tank well enough to the point where you won't die. Again, depending on who you're facing. You know, Broly has type advantage. Depends on who you're facing, you know, and how deep into their Red Zone stage and what phase you're on. Then, here's the best part, and here's where he can be so good defensively. And me and one of my friends calculated it yesterday. If you took him into Red Zone Broly, lined up next to Tech Ultimate Gohan, of course, that's his ideal rotation. You have Tech Ultimate Gohan, of course, is an amazing possible slot 1 unit. Tanking in slot 1, which always allows the EZA to super attack and greatly raises defense in slot 2. And then, of course, you hope and pray his guard is active. You take him into Broly, and he super attacks once, Then his guard is active, which means he has that, what is it, medium chance of launching an additional super attack? No, high chance of launching an additional super attack. So of course, when he guards, he gets an additional attack. There's a high chance of becoming a super for 4 turns when his guard is active. So for 4 turns, he'll have that high chance of super. If he then supers again, of course, he'll greatly raise his defense by another 50%. Then if you have dupes in him, which of course, considering how old he is, and if you've been playing for a while, you probably have a dupe or 2 in him at least. If he super attacks again and greatly raising his defense for a 3rd time, of course, while his guard is active, we calculated it, and he can tank Broly with type disadvantage, no support apart from, of course, the support he supplies himself. He can tank Broly for about, I think, between 100 and 200k, which, considering he has type disadvantage and how hard Broly hits, like, we all know how hard Broly hits nowadays, that is very, very good. Considering on the powerful combat category, and even a lot of 170 lead teams, you're talking over 500, 600k health, between 5 and 700k health in total, which means you still have the majority of your health left. So yes, defensively in red zone, he has the possibility of being ridiculously good, while of course stacking his attack the entire time and greatly raising attack every time he super attacks, which means he's doing incredible amounts of damage, especially if you're hitting crits off. So he does have the possibility, he can be defensively just ridiculous. But as I'm saying, just like Nameku, of course, you have an extra 20% chance to do so, because he has a 50% chance rather than a 30% chance. He has a great high chance rather than medium. If those things don't happen, he can be open to a bit of damage. However, even if his guard wasn't active, say on this phase, or any of the Omega Shenron phases, if his guard wasn't active, but I super attacked once, greatly raised his defense once, and then got the additional from the dupe system, because of course, if you got the additional from the passive, of course, he would have been guarding. But if I just get the 2 additionals with no guard and greatly raise his defense twice, he'll still be able to tank a lot of red zone bosses for double digits on basics, which is very good. But again, that is kind of RNG dependent, and also kind of like a wider spread of RNG, because you also need to have dupes in him as well, and have the specific additionals actually come off from the dupe system. As I said, his range of how good he can be defensively in red zone is up there as one of the best. But of course, that is if RNG is on your side. So while this run went pretty much perfect for him, just like Nameku, you know, he does have an extra 20% chance to get his guard active, but just like Nameku, if it doesn't happen for you, if he doesn't guard, then he can be open to quite a bit of damage, and he can turn into a liability. He's a lot more reliable compared to the likes of Nameku. Also, mine is level 10 link, so he has a little bit extra, but that's only doing so much for him. But he's a little bit more reliable than Nameku. But if that coin flip chance decides to not go in your favor that one time when you need it, especially if you get super attacked, he will get you killed. But on this given run, for some reason, Dokkan was on my side. Red Zone was backing me up. Red Zone was like, do you know what? We're going to give you a perfect run. And he was guarding everything. So every single basic, he was tanking for double digits. He tanked that super early on for 130k, which is pretty good. And then even if he got supered on the second phase, which of course does more damage, he still would have probably tanked it for like 200k or less. And if he got an additional, of course, just over 100k. And then if he got the third, he probably would have tanked it for under 100k, which is amazing. But again, that is very, very RNG related. As I said, he has the potential to be incredibly an incredible defensive unit in red zone. But because it's so RNG based like Nameku, and I keep making the comparison because it's basically the same thing. Chances to guard and things like that. You know, but if it doesn't pop off for you, he can be a defensive liability. So it kind of just all depends on the day and all depends on the run. And of course, if you pop an item while he super attacks potentially twice without guard, he should be able to tank very well as well. And of course, if he has guard and only super attacks, once or twice, and you have a Whis active, he's going to tank incredibly well as well. So there is also the possibility of that. Because remember, you can use items. If you're doing an item run, fair enough, but you can use items. It's okay. They're meant to be used. But he done really well. And don't forget, he's next to Tech Ultimate Gohan the entire time, supporting him, helping him do more damage, which of course was never his strong suit, giving everyone else extra defense here and there as well, which Tech Ultimate Gohan doesn't need, but you're not going to complain that he's getting extra defense, not to mention whoever's in slot 3's got extra defense as well, which is helping them out tank even better. Also, his damage output's great because he's greatly raising his attack on super every single turn, and also the chances to crit. So he done really, really well. has the possibility to be amazing defensively, but also very RNG related, and it could easily go wrong. But do let me think down in the comments. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. And peace.